It's Oklahoma Weekly Update on Coffee with Democrats with hosts Scott Hamilton and Kevin Dawson. And happy Friday, everybody. It's Oklahoma Weekly Update on Coffee with Democrats, the best political satire news show in Oklahoma.
We don't write the headlines write themselves. I'm Scott Hamilton.
And I'm Kevin Dawson. Well, Oklahomans this week in the news, Oklahomans have been waiting decades for change to celebrate the United Methodist vote on same-sex marriage.
The National Weather Service has issued a flood watch.
Oh, really? Well, we'll get back to that here in just a little bit. The United Methodist Church removed anti-LGBTQ plus language from the denomination's social principles guide on Thursday and affirmed same-sex marriage with historic votes applauded by Oklahomans who have been waiting for such changes for decades. Just proves again that anti-woke conservative Christians are not teaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. Do you remember the acronym in the 90s, WWJD? What would Jesus do? This is just more proof that he would spend all of his time with regular folks and not with the elites who preach hate. That would include Jeffrey Dahmer. Nathan Dahm. Do really crucify him, or would yell, crucify him. It's about time these heretics are called out for whom they really are. And it's not Christians, and that's not what they are, is they are not Christians.
You're right. Well, never one to miss an opportunity for self-promotion during a natural disaster. Lion Ryan Walters wore his skinny jeans and his little boy's department white shirt to Sulphur after the devastating tornadoes of last weekend. He wasn't there to help clean up, though, or with any rescue efforts. Instead, he did an uncar video, very unlike him, proclaiming that his department would provide housing for people impacted. Wait, the Oklahoma Department of Education doesn't have enough money to pay teachers, but has money to provide housing? Somebody help me make sense of this nonsense.
And you mean he didn't use his Mom for Liberty KKK van to do that video from? I'm sure it was in the background somewhere.
I'm sure it was too.
Oklahoma legislators grapple with the rule changes that the education department may not have the right to make. A pair of Democratic senators grilled Oklahoma State Department of Education's legislative lobbyists with questions about the State Board of Education's rulemaking authority during a meeting at the State Senate's Administrative Rules Committee on Monday morning. Senator Michael Bergstrom, Republican, and he's the Republicans' chair in this committee, mostly remained silent concerning the 21 proposed rules changes. However, Senators Michael Brooks, Democrat from Oklahoma City, and Senator Mary Boren, Democrat from Norman, expressed major concerns. Only two others, Senator Darrell Weaver from Moore and Senator Julia Daniels from Bartlesville, Republicans, asked any questions about the proposed education rules, and both seemed supportive of the education board's stance. However, all other agencies of state government combined to have only 6 rules on the meeting agenda, leading Bergstrom to quip. Obviously, this has been the State Department's of Education show. Agency spokesman Dan Izzett issued a statement soon after the hearing that reaffirmed that stance. Let me pull up here. Again, we got to show this. There could not be a more clear decision right now regarding the future of our state. Democrats want to promote DEI, porn, and indoctrination of our kids versus individual parents who want basic common sense values in our schools, as it said in the statement. This leads us to ask, how well does Izzett really know Ryan Walters?
That's a great question.
Also, Moms for Liberty, Moms for Three-Way Sex, and Book Banning Liberties issued a statement that the minivan Taliban likes Ryan. They're also asking if there are any photo shoots with Ryan and his toy boy, or video shoots, let me pull that up, of 3 ways at book bannings planned this week that they can attend.
Well, speaking of idiots and nonsense, Walters pushed very hard for a law allowing chaplains to replace licensed school counselors, guidance counselors. What he wasn't expecting is that the Satanic Temple has lots of chaplains and they are eager to get into Oklahoma schools. Since the bill has no provisions for what exactly a chaplain is or does, Walters has opened wide the door. He insists that Satanists aren't welcome in schools, but are welcome to go to hell. Isn't working in any school under Lion Ryan Walters the same thing as working in hell? I would think so.
Absolutely. In a deep red state, Oklahoma Attorney General embraces policy nuance, shirking party politics. Some months ago, a little-known Oklahoma State School Board grabbed national attention with a single vote. It approved what could become the nation's first public religious charter school. Oklahoma's Republican Governor Kevin, what do you call him, Goober? And State School Superintendent Ryan Walters embraced the idea as the leading edge of the school choice movement. Their party's push to steer taxpayer money to private religious schools in violation of the Oklahoma State Constitution, I might add. But another prominent Republican stood in the way, Attorney General Getner Drummond. He sued the board that approved the school. He appeared before the Oklahoma Supreme Court in April to argue why St. Isidore of Seville Catholic Virtual School should never be opened or allowed to open. If we ordain this church, if this stands, then this court has effectively authorized a state religion. He warned the court's 9 justices. Did he just say, go stit yourself, Lion Ryan?
Sounds like it. It really does. Well, Governor Goober Stithead has said that Oklahoma is the best state for families. We respectfully disagree with the governor here, as we do on most things. Oklahoma had 2 bills working through the legislature to provide child care subsidies, and we know that that's a critical thing for many working parents. Both of those died. The bill to fund perinatal care also died. The Choosing Childbirth Plan, though, that was fully funded. All of this in a state whose maternity and infant mortality rate is almost as high as Uganda's.
Oh, that's so sad. Oklahoma's textbook committee recently scrutinized over math books, has 5 new appointments. Of course, representative of Moms for Liberty, a politically conservative advocacy organization who's also is known for advocating and praising Hitler and Nazi policies, as well as 3-way book banning sex parties, had complained about the McGraw-Hill math textbooks because of what they said were social emotional learning concepts contained in the book.
Oklahoma Territory was created on May 2nd, 1890. That's 134 years ago this week. Fun fact, 6 of the 7 governors from 1890 until the establishment of statehood in 1907 were Republicans. What's interesting is Oklahoma Territory actually began with the Indian Intercourse Act of 1834. And well, Republicans have been screwing the tribes ever since.
Oh, isn't that true? The last article is not altered in any way and is sourced directly from the Oklahoman on April 24th, 2024. Senate overrides Stitt's veto of domestic violence bill Wednesday. That's the headline. The Oklahoma Senate handed Republican Governor Kevin Stitt his first veto of 2024 legislative session Wednesday, easily overriding Stitt's veto, Senate Bill 1470. The measure, known as the Oklahoma's Survivors Act, was written to help survivors of domestic violence. Its author, Senator Pro Temp Greg Treat, said. The governor's veto was overridden by a vote of 46-1. Senator Nathan Dahm, Republican out of Broken Arrow, was the only lone vote against the override. Oh, that's rich. Of course, Nathan Dahm sided with Stitt to punish victims and send them to prison for defending themselves. Jeffrey Dahmer, also known as the Milwaukee Cannibal and the Milwaukee Monster, would be so proud of his namesake, Dom, or as Tigger from Winnie the Pooh would spell it, D-A-M-M. Ooh.
We don't write the headlines.
The headlines write themselves.
In all seriousness, before we leave you, we mourn the loss of life as a result of last week's tornado outbreaks throughout the state of Oklahoma.
While we mourn with those families, we acknowledge all those Oklahoma families who are now suffering from the loss of their homes, businesses, property, and the potential loss of jobs and income, which are also expected because of these horrific storms.
If you are privileged to have some money, extra money that you could share with those affected, we encourage you to do so. KFOR News 4 in Oklahoma City has provided a comprehensive list of tornado recovery service. Kevin, what are those?
We'll put those up onto the screen here shortly. They are the Red Cross, Walmart in Sulphur, Oklahoma, the Chickasaw Nation Mobile Medical Unit, SNAP benefits updates, the Oklahoma Department of Emergency Management, the Oklahoma Insurance Department. There's also a process for volunteering, and the 211 services. The link is at kfor.com/news/local/list-tornado-recovery-assistance. Again, we'll put that link up on the screen.
And one more note: people in Sulphur are really finding it very difficult to buy groceries right now. Milk, for example, people have been driving to Ardmore for milk only to find that there's none in Ardmore. So if you plan on going to help with the efforts in Sulphur, we would encourage you to take 2 or 3 gallons of milk with you. I know that the folks there would be very appreciative. Until next week on Oklahoma Weekly Update on Coffee with Democrats.
I'm Kevin Dawson.
And I'm Scott Hamilton. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great night.
This segment of Coffee with Democrats is brought to you by Steve Holcomb, Attorney at Law. With family ties to Oklahoma and the legal field that goes back as far as the early 1900s, Steve Holcomb is a well-known and respected attorney at law in Pawhuska, Oklahoma. You can trust Steve Holcomb, Attorney at Law, with your legal needs. For generations encompassing over 100 years, the Holcomb family name has practiced law and served the cattlemen of Oklahoma. From Marion Holcomb, Steve's great-grandfather, who became a judge among the lands of the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes in southwest Oklahoma in the early 1900s, who then moved to Pawhuska to practice law, to his grandfather, Thad Holcomb Sr., and his father, Lee Holcomb, who both served as presidents of the Osage County Cattlemen's Association. The Holcomb name has been and still is the trusted name for Oklahomans. As an enthusiastic supporter of Coffee with Democrats, who promotes the Oklahoma standard of service, honor, and kindness, Steve Holcomb is the attorney we recommend going to when you have general practice legal needs. call 918-287-8762. That's 918-287-8762 to schedule a consultation. Initial consultations may be provided free of charge, or go to holcomb.legal for more information.